Running a Fever, episode 52. Gonna walk in the rain, talk about scales, and a hearty hello to all our Swedish listeners. Welcome to Running a Fever. My name is Michael Davis. I've lost 64 pounds and become a fitness nut, a health enthusiast at the age of 52. Do you love your life enough to make it last as long as possible? Well, I do, and if you feel that way, you can come along with me on how I'm trying to do it. If you are not, then ask yourself, why not? Why don't I love myself and my life that much? So we're closing in on the end of the Biggest Loser contest at work. The group of people in my building, our version of the Biggest Loser television show. I'm pretty sure I'm going to win it. I've lost 25% of my body weight during this competition. It's been 11 weeks, closing the 11th week with the 12th weigh-in. Gonna win, gonna get the money, and right after I weigh in, I'm gonna have a nice bowl of oatmeal. That's right. And honestly, tomorrow's probably gonna be a cheat day, or not a cheat day. I don't do cheat days. It's gonna be in the evening. I will have a cheat meal. I'm going to have some of my favorite Chicago-style pizza from Gassano's, and maybe even some full-octane Dr. Pepper with it. Also, I had come up with a plan for helping people maintain a good weight and reach their target BMI, blood pressure, and these are the requirements that we have at work for if you want to save some money on your insurance. And yesterday that got sent out. I sent it out in the morning, and so far I've gotten 8 people to sign in for that portion of it. A couple people are signing up for a new Biggest Loser contest, and I'm not sure how much that's going to go over. I'm not doing it. I will never enter a contest like this again, in which it's only percentage weight loss that is counted. Because I know better now. And you know better too if you've been listening. So 2 people have signed up for that so far, and if they want to compete against each other, that's fine. And I think these are people that did not participate in the last one. In any event, I call that a success. There's still more than a week before we have our first measurement weigh-in, and of course I told everybody you don't have to opt in. You can stop in anytime. Any time that we're doing that, we're going to do it once a week, then you can stop in. There's, you can just get your blood pressure taken, you can just do body fat or BMI, get your weight, whatever, anything you want to do. Everything's optional, everything's free. I've got in my car right now the 2 blood pressure machines, also known as sphygmomanometers, that I'm going to use. I got these, anytime you're like being treated for high blood pressure at the VA, they will provide you with a blood pressure machine. Well, they sent me 2, and one of them is a regular cuff and the other one is a large cuff. Now, I've always had to use the large cuff for as long as I can remember. I think I'm going to go to the marina today. It's raining. Got my rain gear on. It's turning out to be well worth it. It's raining outside. Don't use that as an excuse. I mean, get out there. Actually, rain like today, I mean, you don't even need a rain suit, really. I mean, you can handle this for a short period of time. So they sent me both, and I'm going to use them because company either is not willing to provide me any equipment, or they're so slow about it that it doesn't matter, because we're starting next week. And I'm probably going to get a body fat measurement thingy if I don't, hear from them. And so we'll have that as well. Those are about $40. In other news, when I did the diet report last time, I talked about my trip to the grocery store and the things that I found there, but because it was diet, and I guess that's the reason, I neglected to mention that I had found a scale there. It's a Weight Watchers brand scale, and it is about $20. And a lot of scales these days will provide you a body fat measurement. They have the electrodes there. It's just, like I said, these machines are cheap. It's not that big a deal to put them in, right? So it's a piece of electronic equipment. You get 1 million of them from China for $1. This one has other stuff in it. It has not only percentage body fat, but the weight of fat in your body. So I guess it calculates that somehow. And the weight of your skeletal mass, which I assume includes muscle. I'm not sure about that. When I did the complete nutrition one, I got one number that was a skeleto-muscular, whatever, something that included both basically non-fat tissue in your body, and then there's water. So anyway, this scale has about 5 different things on it. So I mean, if you wanted a scale that did some of those things for cheap, there you go. You can get a lot of that stuff right there. Doesn't give you a printout. I didn't check and see if it was Bluetooth or anything with an app. I mean, these days we expect everything to be so easy, we don't have to do anything, right? We can just look at a chart that's pulled from all the information we have everywhere. Speaking of which, I have, that I have the Samsung Gear watch that counts my steps, tells me how long I sleep, all kinds of stuff like that. Well, it always had a calorie calculation on it, and I would look at this and I'd say, you know what, that can't be right. I can't have already burned 2,400 calories by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Turns out I was right. I always thought, well, what's the point of entering your weight? I know what my weight is. Why do I need to enter it in here? I've got it in my spreadsheet. Turns out that, and I found this out, got to give credit where credit is due. I found out from listening to Dave Jackson's Logical Weight Loss podcast at logicalweightloss.com. Dave Jackson, I like him. I started listening to he has a podcast about podcasting, and he's been around since 2005, podcasting, which is very early. Dave pointed out the device measured took like temperature measurements and your weight and how much you walk and your history of exercise and your history of weight loss, and from all of that calculated how many calories you were going to burn, which is why, if you go and get on a life cycle or a treadmill or something and asks you to enter your weight, that's why. A gym that he went to, and I've never seen this even today, and this was 2012, had a program where you could sign up, and every machine you went to, you could enter your code number and they would track all that for you. Weights, treadmill, stationary bikes, whatever. And that is pretty cool. So, I knew it couldn't be accurate. I mean, you need a lot of information to calculate a metabolic rate. When I went to Complete Nutrition, that report that I got, the body composition report, also had a basal metabolic rate. Here's what you burn when you're basically not including any exercise or anything like that. And it was 1,800 calories, which seemed a little high to me. And so 2,400 calories during my normal daily activities didn't seem like a lot. Because I know when I do one of those laps, when I do 3 or 4 of those laps at work, I get like 50, 60 calories, according to what the watch is saying. But those calculations were off because it could not calculate my weight because I wasn't entering it. And when I entered a weight, and weeks later I'm at a lower weight, it's still counting my metabolic rate at the higher weight, which would have been higher. Because like I've explained, the more you weigh, the more work you're going to do. I was carrying around an extra 64 pounds. Today, I've lost 64 pounds. Almost 70 pounds, well, that's like carrying a 35-pound dumbbell in each hand while you're walking around. Really. So is that more work? Yeah, it's more work. Burn more calories? Yeah. So I'm burning less calories now just based on my weight. So my metabolic rate has gone down because of that. It's gone down because of how much I'm eating, which I have not been entering in there. I don't know There may be a way to do that, and I could probably do it. I am going to post on this podcast, I'm going to post a picture of, or a scan of my calorie log. This is what I've been keeping in my kitchen. I've got a pad of paper. I am doing that every day, and then on the log so I write down all the food I'm eating, and I also have kind of an index of this food has this many calories, but honestly, you get to where you just know that. I mean, you just know 4 ounces of chicken is this. I've talked about that before. So I'm going to post that, and yeah, basically, I'm just putting down, sometimes I have to calculate per item, and sometimes, after a while, you get to know what your taco meal, how many calories that is. Probably need to check it every now and then, make sure you're not off. But that's it. And I just say, number one, this is meal number one. I should have 6 every day because I eat 6 meals a day. A lot of them are the same. Yogurt, I know what that is. That's a meal, right? Jerky, that's a meal. Oatmeal, I will probably have other things with oatmeal in the morning because I'm supposed to have 500 calories for breakfast. But oatmeal, I know. Sausage, I know. Eggs, I know. All that. So I can easily calculate that. Keep a running total, and then I total up per meal. I've got 3 columns. One is for the individual item, the other is for the meal, and the third one is total for the day, and I just keep a running total for each meal, right? And so I've got that already, and then the next day, before I flip to the next, because I weigh myself first thing in the morning. When I get into the kitchen, I know what my weight was for that day. On yesterday's calorie log, I write the weight from today. So for each calorie log, you have the next day's weight on there. And that's just so I can easily look in the kitchen, without going to a spreadsheet or anything, and see, okay, these few days I ate this many calories, I lost this much weight, or I gained this much weight, or whatever it was, stayed the same. That's kind of what I've been doing with the calorie log. So it'd be pretty easy for me to, while I'm doing that, pick up my phone and enter my calories for the previous day. That might improve the calculations of the app. So I gotta look into that and see if I can do that. I'm not sure how you do that, but I know you can enter water consumption, caffeine to track all that stuff, but I haven't been doing that. Steps, I've been really ramping up this week because it's the final weigh-in. I'm going to ease off starting tomorrow, but I had 10,000 steps basically before I left work today. We're going to go walk 1.5 miles, and that should add a bunch. And I'm actually going out this evening, got a meeting, get a good night's sleep. I found out that I can lose 2 pounds sometimes when I'm sleeping. It doesn't really make sense. It takes a lot of calories to lose 10 pounds. And I know I don't necessarily trust that 3,500 calorie per pound thing, but still, I know it takes a lot. Today, it is raining. It's not coming down hard, but it's definitely actually raining. Not like the other times I've been out when it's not really been raining. On a rainy day that I'm leaving the marina here. My legs are pretty cold. Cool, I should say, not cold yet, but happened pretty quick, and I got the hood up and it falls in front of my face, so it's kind of hard to see. I always like rain, this isn't really that bad. The air is fresh. It's a nice temperature. Probably a little cold if you're not dressed for it, but definitely not bad. Got to get a little rain on my face you got to wear a ball cap or something. Probably be a good idea. So that way it could have the hood up, but it wouldn't be in my face. We're learning today. If we'd never come out in the rain, we never would have learned that. Of course, never would have needed to learn it either, but there you go. And the lake, since I'm not going to take a picture, I'll try to describe everything. The lake is beautiful. It's got a kind of a haze over it. There are several birds flying around. The water looks kind of disturbed in one area, one strip. And there's something, I think there's a duck out there. I've got pictures of ducks too. But been waiting to use somewhere. So since I'm not taking a picture today, I've already said I'm going to put my calorie log out. So and on the other side we have lush greenery. You know, it's March and it's starting to be full green in a lot of places. I noticed that this morning. Still a lot of bare trees, but I'm starting to see some leaves and a lot of this grass, because we've had a week of rain basically. And that does it. It's not frozen anymore. We had a freezing day recently, but it's not stopping this grass. Certainly not stopping the weeds in my yard. Several people out there. There's a group of people walking their dog. There's a runner walker ahead of me. There are people out here that the rain just doesn't stop. Just like me. Rain is not going to stop me. Also on Dave's show, logicalweightloss.com, he was kind of reviewing a book, not only about weight loss, but it's also, the author is a Christian. It writes from a Christian point of view and is a person of faith, and it's a very important part of her program, which is of interest to me because that's me. Though I admit that I don't think often about including my faith in my fitness program. It's definitely part of it, definitely part of the reason that I love my life and I want to make it last as long as possible. So I'm probably going to read that. By the way, this is Holy Week, the week leading up to Easter. So tomorrow is Holy Thursday. Friday is Good Friday. And then you have Easter. Often described as the Catholic Super Bowl. Anyway, back to fitness. I've been still doing my ab workouts as much as possible, and I've discovered something. I have a back problem. I have a back issue of some kind. I need to, and I don't think it's necessarily just something like that spinal thing or something like that. I think it's just that I don't have much flexibility, and so when your muscles are not used to moving like that and you move them, it's easy for them to get hurt on, like your fan belt on your car. And you know, you don't run the car. It's supposed to be flexible. You don't run the car for a long time. It may break when you start it up. It hasn't been used in a while. It's stiffened up. Now the damn spillway is in full force today. You'll probably hear it. Yep. And I'm sure there's flooding because it's just pretty much been a constant stream of rain lately. And it's supposed to stop around 9 p.m. tonight and then start right back up at 5 a.m. in the morning. Like, why couldn't it stop during the day? But I really don't mind the rain. I honestly like it. As long as the road doesn't wash away, you know, or something like that. Some people are dealing with flooding somewhere. I have had a flash flood warning the other day when I was in a movie theater. Flash flood warning alert came over the phone. But it was all gone by the time we left the movie. It must have been coming down really hard. Yeah, but just over such a short period of time, just a week or two, just tons and tons of water coming down. So even though I've been walking a lot at work, I'm gonna scale that down quite a bit. I don't necessarily think I need to do 10,000 steps or more a day. So one day I did 14,000. That's my peak. I was showing somebody the way the app works and everything. For this, I'm just gonna do the 1.5 miles. So I gotta get to 3/4 of a mile. And I don't remember where that is. 0.25. I started from 1.5, 1.0, 0.5. Where did I start? It's not really easy to tell. I think I hit 0 back there. I'm going to say that's 0.5. You probably know better than I do. I mean, Really. I've done this so many times. Terrible memory. And it's a quarter mile across the dam. So I'm at the point where I have to walk through a parking lot. It's part of the trail. I guess it is nice that people drive really slow. Veterans Park. We're in Veterans Park, Fayetteville, Arkansas, USA. By the way, I just want to say hi to all my Swedish listeners. According to my stats, 25% of the listeners are listening from Sweden. So hello, Sweden. Drop me a line. Boy, I'd love to hear from some Swedish people. Mail at runningatfever.com or leave a comment at runningatfever.com on this episode or any of the other episodes. The guy I was talking to is about a new, I've complained about sometimes there not being signs, and that's kind of true in this area. So I got a feeling I'm going to go way beyond. This is probably when I did that with that one time when I was like supposed to be running a quarter mile or something. I ran a whole mile. All right, well, I'll tell you what, that's a quarter mile, it's at least a half a mile, so we're going back because that'll be 2 miles, I think. I don't know. You guys know how good I am at math, or the lack of goodness thereof. So not much to the medical department. There's not really much going on today except to say that it's very important. I got here to where I am and to where I'm going by being focused on my fitness, diet, and medical assistance. Without the medical part, without the medical professionals, I might be in a hospital today or dead. Who knows? Going down the wrong path. And there were 3 medical professionals that have helped me along the way. Not to mention when my knee was injured. I mean, that could have been terrible too if I just sat and not done anything about it all this time. Kept walking on it, kept running on it. So very important. There will be an update probably on the next episode because I am going to see my doctor about the arm and the shoulder. All right, 20 minutes, 117 calories. Can't really tell how far I've gone. That's what the watch is telling me, 20 minutes. And we're not home yet. So the diet report I've come across, I had this idea that I would, provide some recipes and maybe some other tips to people that are going to do this measurement thing. Of course I put my podcast on there because that could be helpful too. I hope. That's the whole point. In addition to helping me stay motivated to keep doing this. Because you need motivation. I don't know, and it's got to come from you. It can't come from anyone else. But having that external thing, I have to want to react to it. Having the external thing is a trigger for my internal desires. Having this podcast requires me to have something to talk about. And that something to talk about is something I want to do. The raging spillway, I don't know what this is called. I've said it before. One time when we crossed the creek, I said what the creek name was. I'm basically going with the hood down because it's not like I'm really cold or really suffering by having my head wet. And I don't like looking at just 3 feet in front of me, which is what happens when it falls down over my face. Yeah, I'm looking through this. I mean, it's beautiful to live in a city and be able to come somewhere where I can look around me and not see any cars or buildings. I do have a nice, comfortable, straight, flat, blacktop surface to walk through it on. And I plan to do some hiking as part of, not necessarily part of my fitness program, but just because I want to. I'll start planning that pretty soon. This rain's got to stop though. Do not want to spend several hours climbing in mud. Lots of ducks. I mean, this is duck weather when you think about it. Duck weather. I think the rain may have slowed down enough that I can take a picture here. And there they are. Ducks on the pond. I'll take another sort of wide picture of the lake. Hope you like the pictures. I think they usually turn out pretty good. I guess there is something I can put on a medical report today. I've been down on the floor. I don't usually lay on the floor, although I've passed it. It feels pretty good, actually, because you straighten your back out, and that's the problem. My back is curved. I can't straighten it out. I can't even put my head all the way down. If I just lay my head back, it doesn't go all the way down. So I got a problem. I've been trying to stand up straight, but it's just, it's hard. So it might have something to do with my weight over the long term. I definitely don't want it to be that way. It sounds like, it's definitely something I should mention to the doctor, and it's closely tied, or could be tied, to what's going on with my arm. So hopefully I'll remember to do that. And I've seen several more people here. It hasn't been like some of the other workouts I've had where there's been one or two people, if any at all. I've seen a bunch. And it's been constantly raining, although now it's pretty light. So that's good. Got to keep going. You got to keep going. You got to stay motivated. Find where that comes from inside you and feed it. More goodness, less badness. And I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to keep the fever, and I'll hope you do the same. I'll see you next time.
This is the Padua Podcast Network. PaduaMedia.com.